Good evening. This evening, I'd like to talk a little bit about topic 6, the emotionally focused therapy project, which includes this video. And the required elements in the video will be using the EFT perspective and identify the problem that the couple is experiencing, provide a description of the EFT intervention to help the couple develop a supportive relationship, and identify the stages and steps according to the EFT covered in the video. So that's the objective of the exercise. And according to the American Psychological Association, the emotion-focused therapy centers on the idea that individuals and therapists must be aware and must understand the function of emotion as it relates to therapeutic change. Knowledge cannot be processed, and change is not possible without emotion. According to Psychology Today, emotionally focused therapy tends to enhance the couple's relationship by revitalizing a malfunctioning relationship. Attachment theory is a theoretical basis for the research, and it focuses on the security of the partner connection and looks for distressed, misaligned, dysfunctional connections between two individuals in a relationship. This exercise uses a sample video with a husband, Byron, his wife, Beth, and therapist, Dr. Kelly. The video actually comes from the class resources and integrative approach to couples therapy for depression and infidelity with an African American male. So the way the story goes, Byron decides to go out and have sex with a prostitute. Beth finds out. Now Beth doesn't trust Byron, is concerned that maybe Byron's not fully engaged in the relationship, and frankly can't see how she's going to get past this thing that happened with Byron and the prostitute. So that's kind of where we're at to start. So from an EFT perspective, the emotional focused therapy adheres to the attachment therapy and the connectedness of the two individuals, security, dependability, and certainty in relationships. And all those things came apart for Beth when Byron went out and had sex with the prostitute. So in the intervention, I'm going to talk a little bit about the interventions. One of the interventions was reflection. So throughout the video, the therapist uses reflection in many different ways. One of the earliest is at marker 5 minutes, when the therapist reflects on Byron's dialogue that he wants to be in the session and he's willing to do anything to make things right. Validation is another key part of the intervention. Many times throughout the video, Dr. Kelly validated the responses and feelings and emotions from both Beth and Byron. The author postulates that evocative responses, drawing extra attention to and encouraging engagement, discovery, and exploration, intentional responses. At 8 minutes and 56 seconds, the therapist questions the husband about what led him to taking a walk and why does he think that would solve the problem. So at 15 minutes and 3 seconds, the therapist focused on the husband providing confidence and encouragement to the wife. Empathy is important in pretty much every approach. In emotion-focused therapy, empathy is important. It works in conjunction with person-centered delivery and And at 16 minutes and 27 seconds, the therapist drills down on the wife's depression so that the husband can see and understand her situation, drawing the empathy out of the husband. So the steps and stages are very important. They must be followed in order for the emotion focused therapy to be effective. The first stage is the assessment and de-escalation cycle. The second phase is changing the patterns of interaction and restructuring the bonds between the two individuals, between the couple. And the third stage is consolidation of the new communications and new behavioral patterns. So in the very first stage, there are 4 steps. And in this de-escalation, in this de-escalation cycle, the first step is, identify the problem, right? Byron had sex with a prostitute. Beth is having a hard time getting past it. Step 2 begins 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the video. Byron acknowledges his maladaptive behavior. Step 3 draws upon the participant. Byron explores, examines, and articulates his negative behavior and acknowledges the negative behavior. And step 4, the therapist demonstrates and clarifies the negative behavior patterns and emotions and fears that the couple have. And the therapist continually reframes during that process. Step 2, when you change the pattern, the author purports that changing the couple's methodology and interaction patterns is important for the therapy to be effective. Step 5 is researching and understanding the two individuals' attachment styles. Finding out what emotions, what unpleasant things draw the unpleasant emotions. In this step, the couple independently declares their needs, wants, and emotions, and at 10 minutes and 5 seconds into the video. Step 5 goes on with Beth describing her depression and her needs. At 8 minutes into the video, Dr. Kelly introduces the concept of different communication styles. This is a breakthrough moment in the therapy as the therapist identifies the husband's and wife emotional attachment needs. The wife style and the husband style. The wife style is to approach the husband and look for guidance. The husband style is to pull away and go for a walk. Step 6, the couple learns to show empathy for each other. At 9 minutes and 7 seconds, Byron, the husband, explains he pulled away because his father was an angry man. He didn't want to be like his father. The therapist identifying reasoning and establishes empathy for Byron. Step 7 is to continue to understand the information from step 6 and discover how to communicate the circumstances and behaviors that cause the discontent. The couple needs to know why, what emotion, what's happening, why am I getting upset, why am I getting angry, why do I want a conflict? And then lastly, stage 3 is a consolidation of the new communications and behavioral patterns. Here, the two individuals come together and support each other and in new ways to communicate their perspectives. So at 14 minutes and 58 seconds, the therapist begin coaching the couple to communicate differently. At 15 minutes and 3 seconds, the therapist recommends the husband take an interest in the wife's schooling and encourage her to go forward. So the therapist guides the communication, helps the couple see what works, see what doesn't work. And 17 minutes and 30 seconds, the conversation jumps back to stage 8. So clearly, the therapy isn't a single threaded serial process. It goes back and forth between the stages, and as long as the therapy progresses through the entire 3 stages, it should be effective. And as we get closer to the end, the therapist brings up religion and reaffirms they both have strength. The therapist brings up the family, brings up their child, and builds a solid foundation for the two of them to like each other again and go out the door, and they go out the door holding hands, right? So In summary, the assignment was a depiction of a real situation. The steps and the stages in a conversation were not linear, single-threaded, or serial, and they demonstrate the power of this approach. The therapist continually reframes and coaches the couple to understand their emotions and communicate positively. According to Sutton, emotional focused couples therapy supports connection, attachment, and trust while reducing stress and conflict. That's it.